Hello there, sports fans. This is Brett Claxton. Today, playing for you. Everybody's gone to the Rapture, the new game by the Chinese Room, the team behind Dear Esper, and I always forget what it's called. Amnesia. I want to say The Dark Descent, but it's not that. I'm thinking of something else when I say that. Machine for Pigs? Someone can flag me up on whatever it is that I'm talking about. So, before I get started in the actual game, I'm just going to keep this screen up for now to sort of allow you to see my details, 'cause that's always nice. And if you have any questions, or if I'm not quite loud enough or clear enough, let me know. I'll try and solve my microphone issues. But before we get started, I thought I'd show you the settings, because I found this a nice touch when I started the game. I didn't get to really touch on it in my review, because it would just be rambling on pushstart.co.uk, which you can read right now whilst you watch this stream. Head over to push-start.co.uk, as you see at the bottom of your screen, and read my review whilst I play. Due to the way the embargo works, I can only play a certain amount of the game, so I will have to stop before anything monumental happens or anything, but that's fine. I want to really show you a taster of what the game has to offer, so you have an understanding of what the game has to offer, I suppose. So before we get started, you've got obviously inverting your Y-axis, standard to any first-person game. Voiceovers I found quite interesting. You seem to have a large selection of languages. Obviously I'm sticking with English. It makes the most sense to play in English because it does a superb job at replicating this sort of English village that it'd be a shame to play it in another voice over, really. I play my games with subtitles because I've got quite a struggle with hearing, but I also would highly recommend it when playing Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, for the simple fact that it tells you the characters' names, and because there's no proper representation of the characters, it's worth having just so you know who's talking each time, because it can get a bit confusing. And yeah, then we got the controller, save change and exit. I thought this is a nice touch of how to sort of play the game. It sort of shows it in a way that keeps tying into what it is, and it looks nice. So anyway, I'm going to jump into the game now. So, new game. Can't continue because that's at the end of the game. That is one problem. There's no New Game Plus. I mean, it's not really an issue, but there's no New Game Plus, and there's no multiple saves, so you sort of have to start a new game, but that's not a big problem. It would be nice to have multiple saves, but it's not the end of the world. So let's confirm, and whilst this is doing its loading, I'm going to quickly log out and turn off my messages so you don't have to put up with that very irritating sidebar and all that jazz. So we are back in the room. Everything's loading up. So I'm going to keep shut obviously when people are talking, because this is very much a game about story. It's a game where you want to really be hearing what people are saying to sort of piece it together, because this is the main puzzle, is really the story and piecing it together. It's told in a non-chronological fashion, so you really have to pay attention and try and make sense of it all, really. Obviously, as I said, if you can't hear me at any point, or if I sound a bit distorted, let me know. I'll either speak up or I'll do something with the audio to try and make it a bit clearer. But please do let me know rather than staying stum.
This is Dr. Catherine Collins. I don't know if anyone will ever hear this. It's all over. I'm the only one left.
Okay, and this is the start of the game. Obviously you get that nice bit of drawing and then it comes into this. So you start in the middle of sort of nowhere, it seems, as you can see, overlooking a landscape. Small place behind you, observatory there. If you listen, you'll hear this sort of 1 2 1 2 sort of sound, and that's part of what's wonderful about this game, is it doesn't just guide you with audio. I'm sorry, it doesn't. It doesn't just guide you with visuals, it guides you with audio. It's sort of everything has a purpose in this game, and that's not an easy thing. So you start obviously in this middle of nowhere place, as you can tell, looks very nice. What's this sound though? Let's go and investigate. So I don't know how it sounds on Twitch to you guys, but it gets louder the closer you get to these radios. So as you can see, that's a radio. And this message keeps getting repeated when you hear radio, so this is what you're always searching for. I'm not that into science or Morse code, so I haven't yet deciphered what it means, but I'm sure there'll be lots of wonderful theories about what it means after the game is out tomorrow. So let me shut up and let you listen.
I'm going to continue to broadcast for as long as I am able. If I'm right, we should be able to pick up the signal right across the valley. The event has left markers. We don't understand it yet, but we're going to keep working to try and understand it. You can use them to find what you're looking for. The answers, they're all here. The answers are in the light.
So there you go, in typical sort of sci-fi fashion, ambiguous thing said, that makes you want to find out more. There's also a lot of screens about the place. You'll notice that they all seem to show the same sort of thing, which is the observatory that's outside, which makes it all curiouser and curiouser. And as you can see, that is sort of a map of the whole place. So I am down there in the bottom, and there are various things I can go and explore and see. But anyway, enough of that. What's that ringing sound? So I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but as I said, it gets louder the closer you get, and this is the first time I played it with headphones, and it works wonderfully, I must say, playing it with headphones.
This is a special announcement by the Emergency Measures Committee. Due to exceptional circumstances, radio and television in this area has been brought under the control of the EMC as per the Crisis Preparedness and Action Bill of 1982. Keep your radio and television on at all times. Stay indoors and avoid contact with other people. Do not attempt to telephone outside your local area. Do not panic and remain civil and calm. Stay tuned to this station for updates.
So as you can see how frightfully British that all sounds at the moment. And you may have also caught a glimpse of something just a second ago, which we will go and have a look at in a minute. So the pace I'm walking is the pace you walk. There is no sprint button in this game, which for the most part is fine, because you want to be taken in the scenery and you want to sort of be experiencing stuff as you go. But there are times when something dramatic happens and it feels like you want to chase but you can't, and it doesn't add to the tension, it does the opposite really. It makes you annoyed, it drags you out there. Okay, so this is one of the many basic controls that you have to do, so you'll come across these every now and again, and just tilt your 6-axis ever so slightly, find the sweet spot.
I'm
Voila.
trying to do my job. You two will be the only staff on site for this rotation. I'm just saying, if the main gate's power fails, then there's no way in or out of the observatory.
That's why there are backup generators. Jesus, why the hell are we even discussing this?
Just don't you come running to me if you get locked in.
If we get locked in, we won't be able to come running to you, will we? You let us worry about the clever stuff, and you can concentrate on sweeping up leaves and changing light bulbs. Happy? Now piss off.
Arsehole.
That was unnecessary. Just because you're angry with me doesn't mean you have to take it out on everyone else.
Kate, can we just talk about this?
No, Stephen, I'm done. I just want to get out of this place, and tonight is our best chance of doing that. You prep the arrays, I'm heading up to Tower 6.
Kate. I love you. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know that. Come on, let's get started.
So as you can see, memories take you to the time of day that something happened as well, not just show up as a ball of light. And it looks nice. The effects they have obviously looks lovely, especially when you're looking close at the sky when it's all happening as well. I'm going to keep the subtitles on, obviously, as I said, because of my tinnitus. I find it's hard to sometimes focus on noises and differentiate. So I find it handy having the names of people to sort of tell me who's who. And there's a lot of... The game's great because there's lots of major characters that you'll come to know, but there's also these minor characters that just pop up every now and again. They're still just as believable and likeable. It's nice. So this is one of the memory fragments. And this one's called Jeremy. As you can see, the time of day can change quite dramatically as you play along, and various other things can happen. And the memory fragments, for the most part, will guide you to where you need to be.
I suppose from that we can assume that they really are serious about this whole quarantine thing. If Mrs. Boughton wandered off that way before they closed the road, I suspect we'll never find her. Not until this whole thing blows over.
Well, it's more than a little odd. I mean, this is Yorton, for goodness sake. There was no need for them to be so rude.
Well, if they are so concerned that they are willing to close off the roads, I suspect they would argue that there is every need. What is certain is that for the time being, none of us are going anywhere.
But he had a rifle, a soldier with a rifle, in Shropshire. The world's gone stark raving mad. I've a good mind to write to my MP.
You do that, Barb, and I'll personally deliver it for you. Once this blockade is removed anyway. Come on, Bob. I can't spend all day chasing pensioners around the valley. The surgery won't open itself. I need to grab some paracetamol when we get back as well. Fucking headache all of a sudden.
So that was obviously a memory there that got triggered. You saw the light in the distance. So I'm just going to go up here and just have a look at this, because part of what I find lovely about this game is the amount of world building, and something I say in my review, and which I strongly believe, is nothing really feels like it's there just to sort of fill some space. Everything's got a purpose here. Like this, road closed, obvious blockade, can't really see much past it. It all makes sense. You then got the fields, helps to ground it into it being rural England, and it's one thing I love. It feels like rural England. It's a very British apocalypse, and it's done a wonderful job at capturing this small village mentality that villages have. Really, there's lots of little tiny bits of politics and bitchiness all wrapped up in this whole sci-fi overarching narrative. So yeah, again, audio prompt, or audio prompt even.
Who's that? Hello?
Kate, if you can hear this, you need to shut down the optical array. It's using the observatory as a conduit to reach us, and it's started spreading its range beyond the valley. Kate, we can't afford to let it do that. It's getting stronger. I'm going to call Clive back, and I'm going to force him to order the strike. I just don't see what other choice we have. God knows
Hello,
if
can you
it'll
hear
work.
me? We need help. Who are you? Jesus, get off the phone! Get off the phone! It's in the phone! It's in the phone.
So as you can see, this game is much darker than it may seem with its very proper sort of style. It's got dark undertones and there's lots of things you can miss. You can easily walk past that and not go hear it. And obviously it would be a shame to do that, but there's lots of little bits and pieces you could not witness. And when you do witness them, you then got to try and think, well, where does this come in the whole narrative?
Don't be so hard on yourself. We've all had rejections.
You haven't.
Come on. We'll look at the figures, tighten up the data, and resubmit. Your core idea is sound. You just got the numbers slightly wrong.
Don't patronize me.
I'm not patronizing you. I think you are a brilliant man, Dr. Appleton. Listen. I'm here, right? We're together, you and me. The alignment event tomorrow. It's yours, okay? You saw the opportunity, you ran the numbers. Even if they can't see it, I'm proud of you.
Is that supposed to make me feel better?
Steven. Look on the bright side. Around here, you're a hero. Prodigal son returns, right? I'm surprised they haven't erected a statue in your honor yet.
Oh, you can laugh all you want. But I'll bet the parish council have a subcommittee working on that right now.
I love that little scene. It's one of my... Well, there's lots of nice scenes, but it's one I really like for the simple fact that it grounds Kate very well in the fact that she is American. It shows the extent they've sort of gone with their voice acting. Because it's really easy to get someone to put on an American accent, but some of them won't pick up on small things like the fact that Americans say patronise, not patronise. And it's just a nice attention to detail that if it was overlooked, people probably wouldn't worry about it, but it's nice that it hasn't been. It shows the extent that they've gone into looking into this. Anyway. That is a pub that we can go into, but I can't remember if I can get into this place. So let's have a look here. Nope.
Extraordinary. The whole thing reminds me of high school. Seeing Mars for the first time. That same rush of excitement. My hands are shaking.
So there we go. Small tidbit of information helping to paint the whole tapestry of what this story really is and what the game's about. It doesn't look like I'm getting in anywhere, does it? Never mind. Let's go pop into the pub. It sounds like there's a radio close by. Before we hunt down that radio, I would like to show you one of my favourite things about this Britain, and that is 50p ale. What a world, what a lovely world that would be. 50p for a pint of ale. Al Murray would be exceptionally happy.
I keep looking, but it makes no sense. The area we picked the pattern up from can no longer be located on the scope. That's just not possible. You can see significant changes to the quality of the ambient light in that part of the sky. It's overexposed, like a Polaroid left in direct sunlight.
Yeah, again, helping to paint an interesting picture without really revealing too much. So, where to go, what to do?
You know, they see me as an outsider here as well.
Is that supposed to make me feel any better?
You know, I understand it's difficult, that's all I'm saying. Your lot up at Vallis have never mixed with the local community. People here, they don't really understand what you do up there.
Are you trying to get me to come to your church?
It's not just about faith. It's about the community. Be involved. Be seen as part of it. One of them.
Good morning, Father. Lovely day. Oh, hello. Mrs. Appleton, isn't it?
It's Dr. Collins.
Lady scientist. Whatever next.
Good morning, Barbara.
Father Weaver.
You really think that's a community that will ever see me as one of them? I can live with them staring at me, if they just stay out of my way.
Where to go, what to do. As I said, the game is very much about exploration, and it's up to you really how little or how much you want to do. Because I'm limited in what I can show you due to agreeing to the embargo. I'm going to show you some things that maybe I would skip over if I could play it otherwise, but for now.
Hello? Hello? Oh, Amanda, I thought you'd left town.
We tried. We did try. But they've closed all the roads and you can't get through. And then Georgie and Ben said they had headaches. And then they started bleeding. It was horrible. They were so scared. So Neil turned the car around and we saw the house was open, and I know we shouldn't have, but we just came in to clean up the kids, and then Neil and I started bleeding as well, and it's all over my blouse. Everyone was so tired.
It's all right, Amanda. Everything will be all right. Just try and calm down and tell me where Neil and the children are.
They're upstairs. They were tired, and Neil said they could take a nap in the bed, and we thought Barbara wouldn't mind as they're only children, and I was so tired, so Neil took them up. He took them upstairs to tuck them in.
And?
That was 6 hours ago. He never came back down. Just be too frightened.
why don't we go and look together? I can hold your hand if you like.
Yeah. I think I could manage that, yes. Please help me.
Of course I'll help you. Neil? Neil, are you there?
And this is an example of what I mean by the level of detail that goes into their world building. So, obviously they're saying that they're bleeding, so it would make sense for bloody tissues to be dotted around the place. The drawing there obviously shows that the children definitely were upstairs at some point. If you come back downstairs, you'll notice that there's actually quite a bit of blood dotted around the place. It's an attention to detail that shows that a lot of care went into planning all of this. What was that? Sorry, my controller just vibrated and I don't really know why. And as you can see, the stories that are painted within this, some of them are just bite-sized, self-contained stories, whereas some of them will hold a bit more information. And there's loads in there, from families trying to escape to love to everything, really. Maybe not everything, that's a bit extreme. So let's follow the light, because that is how you get the story. So it guided you just far enough to pick up something that you wouldn't have found otherwise. Makes it obvious that there's something down here.
The magnetic field is causing disruptions to phone signals and the rest of the electrics. There are voices on the line. It's 4 a.m. Maybe everyone is up looking at the light show.
So I love this little lane because it's what you see in more or less any little village, is these tiny little lanes that go between the houses, and it's just nice. It helps you reminisce about things almost. And just to highlight the point, obviously you're meant to be following the lights and do what you want, but there was nothing stopping you at the beginning of this. That's where the phone box is. That's the bus shelter. We saw that sequence at night. There's nothing stopping you turning and walking down here and experiencing everything that is down here first. And although there's no reason why you would on your first playthrough, because you would normally play to the visual guides. Some people don't like doing that. Some people, I mean, I've played so many JRPGs that I know normally to spend a bit of time looking about. Same with survival horror games, and most games is spend some time looking about each area first. But with this, I would highly recommend following the visual guides for the main experience. As you can see, they're trying to tell me, hey, where are you going?
You have to make a decision, Lizzie. Especially now.
But I do love him, Father. I love them both.
He's married. There are other people involved in this.
Oh, I hardly think that anyone's in the position to claim the moral high ground, do you?
Well, I take your point about Stephen. And Robert. But I think Kate might see things differently.
Do you? I mean, she's not screwing anyone else, pardon my French, but she spends all day and night locked up in that observatory. Stephen says they barely see each other. That's hardly a marriage, is it?
Dun dun dun. Seems like a nice village. I'd like to live there. Maybe not like now that the apocalypse has happened, but you know, before the apocalypse, I feel it would be a nice place to live. So that is locked because of a quarantine. Do not attempt to leave, you'll be detained. Oh crap. That's one of the problems, because there is no jump button. You can sometimes find yourself walking to a dead end, and although it would sort of maybe break the immersion and make it feel a bit gamey, it's annoying that you can't jump. I will be shocked if this doesn't turn out to become the Morpheus game. It's almost built for the Morpheus. It's very visual, it's very audio, it's very minimal with what you have to do. You've got the left stick, the right stick, which can easily be mapped to move in your head. And then all you've got to do is actually press a button, which you don't have to have that mapped to a controller. You can have that mapped to a whatever they decide is their control scheme. Anyway. Yeah, again, something that's completely missable but helps paint what everything is. Before we click, what do you see? You see patches of blood. What looks like either dirt or blood.
Visual and auditory distortions are becoming more frequent, along with mild convulsions to the left side, all of which support a preliminary diagnosis of intracranial hypertension, occurring as a result of a substantial and rapidly expanding tumor, originating, I believe, within the hypothalamus. Cognitive functions are currently unimpaired. Aside from this crippling headache, hemorrhaging is becoming more frequent, with darker clots passing through the nasal passages primarily. I I believe I am dying. This is certainly not flu or anything else I have ever encountered. And certainly a tumor cannot expand this rapidly. In the blood clots, I see tiny flecks of what looks almost like, if I had to try and find a description, liquid light. I cannot explain this phenomenon.
And there we go, something that seems like quite a bit of information that the developers decided to leave tucked away in a little corner of the world that you could easily not really witness. There's no reason to walk down here, but you missed two quite intriguing cutscenes that help give so much detail to the world and to the events. So let's go in here. As you can see, influenza. It is very much a doctor's surgery.
Dr. Wade, here you are. There's a queue of patients a mile long out there.
Just send them to the village hall with the others, please, Bob.
Doctor, people are scared. Mrs. Gables just called me and said her husband's vanished. She was very frightened. She said there was blood coming out from his ears and his nose.
What the hell do you want me to do? Until they lift the quarantine, we're not going anywhere. Just tell them to drink plenty of fluids, stay warm, and follow the instructions on the radio.
Dr. Phil, please, you have a duty to your patient. Your nose.
And curiously, after they say that, if you come and look, blood all over the computer, showing the same symptoms as other people. One problem I have that I can't tell you about is... what does that say? I can't tell you about trophies or anything because that was not part of the press code, and obviously that's fine. I'm not someone who cares that much about trophies, but it makes it awkward to sort of figure out maybe what these little vibrations that the controller does are, really. Makes it not overly clear as to what's happening. So obviously that memory fragment wanted me to see this.
I saw you from the main road. Not many people are moving around now.
I was looking for Dr. Wade.
Listen, Frank. I don't know what's happened, but your Stephen seems to think he's responsible.
I reckon he is.
He said, Kate's still up at the observatory, but the gates are locked. Frank, there's going to be a rescue soon, I'm sure of it. They'll send planes or something.
Well, they'll send planes, all right. This pattern of his, we're in the center of it. Which means if they intend to stop it, we're right in the firing line.
Forgot about that. Grim as hell. Someone obviously has... By someone, it's easy to probably draw the conclusion it was the doctor, considering this was his house. But they have bled profusely, it would seem. Can't see anything else in here, I don't think, if I remember rightly. So let's move on. I'm going to show you this because I just liked this. I thought it was a nice bit, yet again, just attention to detail. It's nice, and it helps add to the character. Obviously Dr. Wade's house, it helps to add to him, give him more layers. He's a pretty decent artist, it would seem.